welcome back to another episode of Creative Writing Advice with me, JJ Barnes. If you don't know me, I am JJ. I'm the author of How to Write Your Story, which is out now on Amazon. It's where I take you from the beginning of your story through your midpoint all the way to the end. I cover everything in between. And just like with this YouTube channel, what I'm hoping I can do with it is give you the confidence to embrace the love of storycraft and get your story out into the world. So today I'm answering a question that was sent in by one of my viewers. I want to say Fajouk, and I'm very sorry if I pronounced that wrong, because I talk to you all the time and I don't want to be like saying it badly, but Fajouk I think is correct. And Fajouk was asking, what do you do if you have such a clear image of your story in your head that you cannot correctly translate it to the page and do it justice? And if you're very, very visual like me, this will completely make sense to you, because what you're trying to do when you write a story is communicate everything that you have going on up here in your head, and that beautiful image you have, and that story, and those characters, and the setting. And you're trying to turn that world that you have created in your mind into words on a page that will make sense so other people can see it too. So if what you're struggling with is the block on you, a writer's block, that you cannot do what's in your head justice with your words, that's what this video will be about. Right, so there's going to be a little anecdote here, because it's not the same as writing specifically in terms of a book or a story, but this is film set type work. So if you aren't familiar, I've written TV and film, and there's something which happens when you first write a script, which is you have to suddenly accept that other people see it differently in their heads. They might see the characters look completely different. They might see the locations you've referenced look completely different. The movement around the room, the way characters interact with each other. Magic that you've written happening. Anything at all. People who are in charge of the visuals see it in a very different way to you. And if you're very visual like me, that can be hard to process, because you're seeing what you think has been translated very, very clearly, what things look like, and you're seeing it interpreted. And the thing is, normally when people read your books, you don't get to see what's in their heads. Only they see what's in their head, just like you are the only one who sees what's in your head. So you don't necessarily know if they are translating it right with their own imagination. But you watch someone translate your script wrongly in terms of the visuals. And as I say, if you are very like up in your own head like me, that's challenging. Because suddenly it's not just your work. All these other people have a view on what that work means and how that work looks. And it's not your job to decide that. Your job is to write it. It's their job to make it come to life. It's one of the reasons I like making indie work. But the point is, I understand how horrible it is to feel like you are not converting the things in your head onto the page in a way that will clearly communicate to your audience exactly what it is they're supposed to be seeing. So I can understand why it might block you. This is not going to be a video where I tell you exactly how to communicate it. It's just not, because you can't. Because people do see things differently, and they will imprint their own experiences, their own relationships, their own ideas onto your story. This is why the book somebody reads will never be the exact same book somebody else reads, because we see it differently. I will see ex-boyfriends in characters that the writer didn't have. I'll see my mom in characters that the writer didn't have. Because those are the references that trigger a memory in me and make me imprint that face onto that person. I will see my school, not the school being described. I will see my childhood home, not the home being described. And it's never because the writer hasn't done a good enough job. It wouldn't be because you haven't done a good enough job. It's because my imagination kind of helps steer that ship. And you as the writer, however hard it is, and I truly understand, you have to take a small step back. If it doesn't read as perfectly and beautifully and clearly as it is in your head, it's okay. For one thing, in order to make it read as perfectly and clearly as it is in your head, you would have to describe so much. You would have to describe the colour of every wall, the texture of every carpet, the angle of every sun in any scene. You would have to get all the shadows right, everything every person is wearing, the colour blue of somebody's eyes exactly right. You can't do that. What you need to learn to do, and I understand. I can't emphasize enough how much I understand this problem. Use the image in your head as a reference point. Accept that not everybody is going to see it exactly as you see it, because they've got their own things that they are imprinting over your story all the time, just because we do. Think about the things in that image in your head that are the most important. The things it really is key that you can see written perfectly and your audience can see in their heads as perfectly as possible. Now, it could happen to be that the colour of somebody's eyes is genuinely plot essential and really matters for whatever reason. In which case, absolutely take the time, make sure they can see it perfectly. Or it could be that the sun needs to be at a certain point in every single scene. It could be that the colour of the walls matters, the texture of the carpet. It doesn't matter why it matters, if it matters. But if your scene can move through without that information, it's okay to leave it out. Just sort of pick and choose from the mental image you have what is essential and what isn't. Now, the unessential you can still layer in a little bit of just to give it some poetry, to give it some extra flavour. But you can't put it all in. You can't, because that is just an info dump of information that nobody's going to want to read, and it will be too intense. So it's not necessarily going to be an easy process for you, depending how much your brain requires that image to be mirrored. And I don't know. I know that it's something I have struggled with, particularly on set. But I know that at some point, in order to tell your story, you have to just take a step back, let it go a little bit, enough that you can get your story written. And remember that if it's not going onto screen or stage, you never see what other people see. So you can live in blissful assumption that they see it exactly how you see it. And it's fine. It doesn't have to be a content pure, description laden way of translating that image to the page. But it can be difficult to overcome the challenge. So I understand why it blocks, but I'm hoping that this will reassure you and encourage you to keep going anyway, keep writing it anyway, pick and choose the essential, and just trust that your story will matter to them for their own reasons, because of what you have done with your story, not because of how perfectly you have translated the picture in your head. I hope this has helped. Thank you for your question, and I hope I've done it justice, and if not, I'm sorry. I swear I've tried. So thank you very much for watching. If you subscribe to my videos, I put out a video every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 o'clock. You can go to my website, not 9 o'clock, 9:30, Judith. You can go to my website, which is jjbarnes.co.uk, and over there you'll find links to all of my work. I also have books and social media and everything. You can come chat to me, and you can drop a comment on here and let me know what you think. What have you done to overcome this problem? Is it something that you have struggled with? And if you have any tips or techniques, like, we can all share, and hopefully we can all move through it together. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back again soon. Bye.